Okay, now let's look at the effect of the gate width on that threshold voltage. So this figure in the bottom left is showing the width of the transistor. Length is actually going into the page, and it's a little bit different from what we normally are looking at. So here's a kind of a pseudo 3D diagram. So here's the source well, here's the drain well, here's the gate, and normally we're looking at the cross section so we can actually see the length in the plane of the page, but this diagram corresponds to width being in the plane of the page. Okay, so let's figure out what effect the change in width has. So if we look at charge per unit area under the gate, we have some initial charge and some change in the charge, where the initial charge is just going to be equal to the volume that's created by this length, width, and the depth of the space charge region. The change in the charge is going to be that same thing. We don't multiply by the width, but we're taking into account this part that I'm shading in out there. And so there's this fitting parameter that we're adding in front of that depth. And it's kind of a fudge factor so that we can get it correct. And it depends on the geometry of the device. Okay, so if we take that into account, substitute these two equations into the first one, this is what we come out with. Simplify that, we get this last equation. And in order to figure out the change in the threshold voltage, we can then use this last equation on this slide. And the takeaway here is that as the gate width decreases, the threshold voltage, assuming it's an N channel, is going to increase. So if we look at the effect of gate width on threshold voltage, decreasing gate width, you see the threshold voltage increasing. These different curves just correspond to different substrate doping levels. And to summarize all of that, if you're varying channel length, so the shorter your channel, the more your threshold voltage will decrease, and the narrower your gate width, the more your threshold voltage is going to increase.